Everybody is entitled to at least one meltdown. Hi, hello, hola, ¿cómo estás? And welcome to my channel. I am Jan, and here we read books from my youth and recap them, spoilers and all, to my lovely audience. This is an adult channel meant for adult viewers, and without wasting any more time, let's get into it. Dan and Amy have delivered on every command by Vesper 1, becoming international criminals in the process. They've learned that the enemy is building a doomsday device for nefarious purposes. They have watched the body count rise, helpless to do anything. But the story isn't over yet, and they'll have to give it their all if they hope to put a stop to the Vesper's evil plans. I have faith in the Cahills that they can succeed, but I'm scared who else we will wind up losing in the process of saving the world. I got a bad feeling, you guys. We pick up with Dan Cahill drinking the Master Serum in a hotel in New York City.
No. Well.
Amy pops back in, ready to join in the final fight, and confesses to Dan that she switched the Master Serum for a vegetable puree. She couldn't let Dan take the serum. She feels it's too dangerous. Good call, by the way, Amy. Ian called her and told her that Isabel is not Vesper 1, she is Vesper 2, and she's going to Washington, D.C. Jake, Atticus, Amy, and Dan start forming a plan of attack. Atticus recalls more of what his mother, Astrid, told him in her final days. She had mentioned Lewis and Clark, the explorers. They figure out that they can learn more about the two men by visiting the National Museum of American History, which is also in Washington, D.C. They quickly pack and board a train bound for the United States Capitol. Also, Dan has a second dose of the serum. It was and is his plan B. With the hostages, they're feeling defeated and tired when someone approaches their cell. They're being moved, but before leaving, Fist Cahill kicks a guard for Alistair O. In Attleboro, Evan has finally hacked into Sinead Starling's email. He found exchanges between her and a Riley McGrath, but Evan says that's impossible because Riley has been dead for years. They're interrupted by a call from Phoenix Wizard. He's finally made it back to civilization after being lost in the Cascade Mountain Range in Washington State. Ian and Evan try contacting Amy but can't for some reason, so they quickly pack and board a flight to Washington to rescue Phoenix and possibly the other hostages too.
You sure about that?
On the train ride to D.C., the Cahills and Rosenblums receive a video from Vesper 1. In the video, the remaining hostages are gagged and bound, with Vesper 1 thanking the Cahills. And, surprise, surprise, he refuses to give up the hostages still. But in the video, Ted Starling is blinking a Morse code message to them. Riley McGrath is Vesper 1. They're left with more questions than answers in the end. Later, while crossing the Delaware River, Dan notices that the sky is purple and the clouds are swirling intensely. He points it out to the others, who are also mystified. Amy gets an email on her phone from Evan telling her Phoenix is not dead. He had escaped from the Vespers. She's relieved to hear this, but tells the others they can't run off to help. They need to find out what Isabel Cabrera's up to. Dan convinces her to at least call in backup, aka Jonah and Hamilton. With Ian and Evan, their flight experiences some heavy turbulence, but strangely enough, when they land, there is no wind. As they board a bus to go to the motel that Phoenix is at, they're unknowingly being followed by a vehicle with 3 passengers.
Don't be suspicious.
The Cahills and Rosenblums finally arrive at Union Station and head over to the Smithsonian. There, they visit a display on Meriwether Lewis and William Clark, and learn about how Sacagawea helped them navigate west across the Rocky Mountains. A curator tells them that Isabel was there earlier, and they trick her into allowing them to see Lewis and Clark's compass. On it, they see a series of numbers carved into it. Amy makes a mental note about how Lewis and Clark are Tomas Brandt's agents. The curator also tells them that Isabel nearly caused some kind of disaster because she initially dropped the compass under a table, but was able to retrieve it without issue.
Coincidence? I think not!
Outside the museum, the 4 are nearly ambushed but split up and run off in different directions. Amy spots Isabel and books it after her, taking out 2 men in the process. She catches up to Isabel but was lured into a trap. But before the men can shoot her, Dan tricks them into thinking the police have shown up, and they run off.
FBI, open up!
And they escape down into the sewers. Back in Washington, Ian and Evan find Phoenix and take him to get something to eat. Outside, Sandy Bancroft, aka Vesper 4, and Cheyenne, Wyoming, Vesper 6, are getting ready to execute a plan to kidnap Ian, Evan, and Phoenix. Casper's also there. Inside the restaurant, Phoenix fills in Ian and Evan on what happened. They get an update from Amy about what happened in DC and how Vesper 1 is Riley McGrath, but they know that's not his real name because Riley is dead. Jonah and Hamilton show up, but the mood is ruined by a waitress pulling a gun on them and ordering the boys outside. The waitress was Cheyenne in disguise, and now they have 4 extra hostages. The Cahills and Rosenblums rendezvous back at the hotel in DC. There they analyze the compass pictures, and from the numbers, they're able to conclude their coordinates to the Cascade Mountains, where the hostages were being held.
Where are we?
They try to book plane tickets to Washington, but all air traffic has been grounded due to weird changes in the Earth's magnetic field messing with avionics systems around the globe. They're worried that they'll not be able to make it to the West Coast in time, but Atticus says Vesper 1 must want them there to witness his triumph and kill them as well. Amy tells Dan to book a train to Chicago. There are no direct train lines across the country, and tries to contact Evan, Ian, Hamilton, and Jonah and knows something's wrong when she can't get through to them. With our Attleboro hostages, they're being transported when they stop because someone wants to talk to Ian. It's Isabel, telling him that she's giving him another chance to be loyal because she's dying from a slow-acting poison and it's made her reconsider some things. She wants Ian to kill one of the hostages, except Natalie. When he agrees and leaves, she reveals that the poison was a lie, and the reason she hasn't allowed her children to be killed is because she wants to do it herself.
You raggedy bitch.
On the train to Chicago, Dan, Amy, Jake, and Atticus agree to not form a plan until they have boots on the ground. Unbeknownst to them, Isabel Cabral is also on board. With Ian, he's escorted to meet his sister. When they hug, he whispers the situation to her. Casper comes in and leads them to a new room with the other hostages. Ian lies to Vesper 1, trying to pit his mother and Vesper 1 against each other. Ian snitches about his mother's plans to Vesper 1 and that Casper, Cheyenne, and Sandy Bancroft are working with her. When Vesper 1 stops speaking, Ian fills in the others on what's happened and that Phoenix is okay. Back with Vesper 1, he's not at all surprised by Isabel's actions and plans to move the hostages anyway to their final destination to witness his glory. In Chicago, Dan spots Isabel and tells the others. Amy figures this is an ideal situation because since she doesn't know they're also on board the train, they can tailor her to the hostages. For now, they split up until it's time to board, with Jake and Amy hiding out in a supply closet. They have another moment with Jake confessing his feelings and Amy sharing hers, and then they kiss. The mood is interrupted by Dan calling. There's something going on in the center of the station. Isabel is giving a press conference for her charity, AWW. With Vesper 1, it's revealed to be Damien Vesper, direct descendant of Damien Vesper. He's ranting and raving about his plans to commit a small-scale extinction event on humanity, as well as swearing to not let Vesper 2 or anyone stand in his way. Back with Amy and Dan, they're watching Isabel's conference as she talks about a coming apocalypse and how she'll be there, blah blah blah. Atticus spots a bolt of lightning, only it's coming from the ground instead of the sky. Just then, their train is called, and they board without Isabel noticing, and Sinead starting is also boarding. On the train, Jake has done some research and learned that the Doomsday device has world-ending capabilities like reversing the magnetic poles and possibly messing with the Earth's orbit and gravitational forces. He thinks Vesper 1 may want to use it to blackmail the world into doing his bidding. Atticus figures out that Dave Speminer is actually an anagram for Damien Vesper and that he must have poisoned Astrid. He tells Jake, and Jake goes to tell the others, with Sinead passing right under his nose. Amy, Dan, Atticus, and Jake agree to search Isabel Cabral's train compartment for anything that might help. With Isabel, she's going over her plans for
World domination!
and how she'll use her charity to do so when the lights go out on the train and all passengers are told to report to the dining car. Jake and Atticus had broken into the control room and taken out the lights. Amy and Dan are already making their way to Isabel's compartment. As they're searching, they find her phone, and on it are texts of her impersonating Arthur J. Trent. She's the one who's been texting Dan. They also find pictures of the Lewis and Clark compass. Before they can learn more, the door gets jammed, and they're trapped inside as Isabel approaches. They're able to escape by using the modular walls to slip into the next room. When they meet up with Jake and Atticus, Isabel isn't too far behind them though. With the hostages, they're being transported in a truck chained up. Everyone is nauseous and at their wits' end when Fisk Cahill comes up with a plan. Casper, Cheyenne, and Sandy are in the cab of the truck, relishing in their doomsday device effects on the weather. Isabel tries threatening the Cahills and Rosenblums, holding a syringe of poison, but they're not taking it this time, going into offensive mode before the train is cast into darkness again as it goes through a tunnel. In the truck with the hostages, as Cheyenne and Casper talk about their plans to stage a coup against Vesper 1, Vesper 4 is pretending to sleep and recording the conversation the whole time. In the back of the truck, the hostages are using their chains to pull the bolt that's holding them in place out of the wall. They're able to do so just as the truck reaches its destination. Back on the train, the fighting continues until a gunshot rings out and Isabel scurries off. When the lights come back on, they see one of her guards dead and Sinead holding a gun. She saved their lives. But Atticus is missing, and so is Dan's backpack with a serum in it.
Something's missing.
Isabel has taken both and is attempting to get off the train. Jake runs off with a gun to try and save his brother until the others catch up with him, including Sinead. They agree to look up more information online because Dan figures there's something they're missing. Why would Isabel get off in the Rocky Mountains in Colorado? They examine the compass photo again, realizing the numbers were scratched to look different, but they're still wondering what the numbers could mean.
The numbers, Mason. What do they mean?
When they punch in the numbers, the location is revealed to be the Rocky Mountains, exactly where they are now. Damien Vesper is also approaching the Rockies, bringing with him Gideon's ring to complete his dastardly plans. He's also been made aware, thanks to Sandy Bancroft, that the Wyomings are plotting against him. The hostages jump their captors when they arrive inside a mountain, taking them out and making a break for it. Ted Starling, the genius Ekaterina that he is able to deduce that they're in the Rocky Mountains. To avoid getting caught, they split up into two groups of 5, Fisk leading one and Ian leading the other. Inside the train tunnel, Amy, Dan, Jake, and Sinead follow Isabel to a door just as the train starts moving. They almost get sucked under the train but are able to hack the doorway at the last moment. But then the door won't close, so Amy lets herself be pulled by the vacuum and closes the door, knocking herself unconscious in the process with blood dripping down her head. Fisk, Reagan, Jonah, Nellie, and Ted find the Doomsday device and are cornered by Damien Vesper and his men. Before they can capture them, Fisk whips out a chain at them and together they attack. After bandaging up Amy, they run into Evan, Hamilton, Natalie, Ian, and Phoenix. They head deeper into the mountain, hoping to take advantage of the infighting between Isabel and Damien Vesper. Sandy Bancroft wakes up not long before Casper and Cheyenne do, and he sprays them both with the paralyzing agent. He's a double agent, still loyal to Vesper 1. With Isabel, Atticus is trying to manipulate her with what he knows about the Doomsday device. Then he tricks her into thinking someone's shooting at them in order to slip away. Then she reaches into Dan's backpack and pulls out the serum. With the Cahills group, they run into Atticus in the tunnel. They keep going and run until they find a door, and when they go in, the Wyomings are chained up inside. The door shuts and the room begins filling with water. With Fisk Cahill's group, they give their fight their all, but are quickly taken out. When Fisk tries running at the machine, he's shot in the shoulder. Back with the Cahills nearly drowning, Amy is able to use a knife to pry open the door. It works, the flow of water drags them out, and they dust themselves off and go to try to find the others, leaving Casper and Cheyenne still chained up. Back with Fisk, he was shot, and as Vesper 1 points the gun at his head, Amy and the others show up. So now, reinforcements are attacking the Vespers. Evan gets shot in the torso, but everyone's fighting and fails to notice right away. Natalie goes to try and attack the machine, but she uses a metal pipe and gets electrocuted.
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
Evan dies in Amy's arms. That's 2 lives lost so suddenly in the span of just a few minutes. But the fight continues, and they beat back the Vespers from the Doomsday device. Hamilton, Reagan, Jake, and Amy are now armed with guns. They regroup, their numbers down to 13. They've beaten back the Vespers for now. Amy is trying to understand what the Doomsday device is capable of, discussing it with Fisk, Atticus, and Sinead. As long as Damien doesn't insert the gear, they still have a chance. Everyone resigns themselves to a fate of battling the Vespers until they can figure out a way to destroy the device once and for all. With Vesper 1 and 4, Sandy tells Damien that they have 1 hour until they can activate the device and cause a tsunami to destroy the city of Chicago. Sandy also tries to warn Damien about Isabel, but he isn't concerned. When she's seen on security cameras, Vesper 1 orders Sandy Bancroft to kill Isabel Cabral. While wandering the tunnels, Isabel sees security footage of Natalie's body. She snaps and drinks the serum right there, swearing revenge on Vesper 1.
She's an icon, she's a legend, and she is the moment. Now, come on now.
With the Cahills, they're getting ready for round 2. Amy hopes that Vesper 1 will have to turn off the electrical force field around the device to install the gear. Reagan doesn't trust Sinead with the gun, but Amy does, giving her a gun to Sinead. Amy gets an idea and wraps a length of copper wire around the device, causing it to attract all the metal objects in the room. Instead of coming through the front doors, the walls themselves open up to reveal the enemy. They charge in, those holding guns instantly being pulled off their feet, drawn to the machine, and electrocuted. Vesper 1 walks in after, ordering the other Vespers to take up stone clubs as weapons against the Cahills. Just then, Isabel comes in, serum-fueled, and basically starts taking on the Vesper army all on her own. When Sandy goes to run, he's stopped by Casper and Cheyenne, who drag him away, kicking and screaming. Vesper 1 runs to place the gear in its place, and the second he does, Isabel is upon him. He's ripped to shreds by the machine's pull, and Isabel is lost in the resulting explosion after tearing into the Machina Finimundi with her bare hands.
Cheers, I'll drink to that, bro.
Amy has a near-death experience, seeing all those that they've lost in the afterlife. She wakes up in their mansion in Attleboro. She was hit on the head by a chunk of rock as the mountain was collapsing. She's been out of it for a week. Sandy and the Wyomings were arrested after the incident.
What's up?
Another week passes before Amy is well enough to meet with everyone since the incident. Sinead and Amy are on good terms after everything that's happened. Jake and Amy make it official. Dan and Amy agree that there is no normal for them, because after all, they're Cahills. Wow, what an ending. You know, it makes sense in retrospect that the reason Natalie was not shot and Nellie was is because Isabel was Vesper 2 the whole time. Even evil has a capacity for love deep down. And poor Evan. Really didn't see that one coming. How did they break the news to his parents? They didn't even know he was involved in this. Also, what a way to solve a love triangle. This series had a way higher body count than the previous, and I know I've said that before. And we lost so many main characters. William McIntyre, Erasmus, Alistair, Natalie, Evan. The ending scene was a bit rushed. I wish we got to see Ian tell his father the news, or Reagan and Hamilton be reunited with their family. And overall, this book felt like it dragged on in spots, but such a strong finish to the series. I don't know if I'll read the follow-up series, maybe someday, but for now, I have other books planned. I won't say which, but let me know which one you think I should do below, because I'm considering either The Red Pyramid by Rick Riordan or The Alchemist by Michael Scott. But that's all I have to say. Please leave a like, comment your thoughts below, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. See you all in the next one. Bye!